All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Gotta Talk About Disney, the podcast and vlog where I talk about everything Disney, do all the research, find all the things so that you don't have to. There's gonna be a little bit of everything on this channel. We're gonna talk, we're gonna do things, we're gonna show things, we're gonna cook, and it's all gonna be Disney related. So if you're a Disney lover, you're in the right place. If you have any questions, things you want to investigate but maybe haven't yourself, just drop it in the comments down below and I will do the digging. I love doing Disney related research, answering questions. So all comments, questions are really appreciated. But today we're going to be talking about one of the most, I'd say, infamous rides currently in Disney World, and that is Rise of the Resistance. Also, welcome my guest star. This is Allie. I'm podcasting on my couch because I didn't feel like setting up a backdrop, and I don't really have any chairs because I just graduated college and moved, and I'm not a millionaire, so I can't just buy a ton of furniture. So we're on the couch. Hopefully I can set up a dedicated space in the future, but for now, couch, and the couch is Allie's space. Allie, do you have anything to say? No. Okay. Not that I expected her to. Alrighty, so Rise of the Resistance. If you're not familiar, this ride is located both in Disney World and Disneyland. In Disney World is located at Hollywood Studios, and that's the only one I've ridden. They are, as far as I know, exact replicas of each other. And they both opened up around the same time. I believe Disneyland's Galaxy Edge opened up sooner. I should probably fact check that, but I'm not going to. I am going to be mostly talking about Disney World because it's the one I go to. I'm closest to Florida, and, everyone knows Disneyland is more of a commuter park, so to speak, whereas Disney World is more of the touristy destinations. So Rise of the Resistance is a fan favorite because it is simply amazing. It's jaw-dropping. I almost cried when I went on it the first time. I'm really shocked I didn't. I think I was just so excited because it was my first time in Galaxy's Edge that by the time I got on the ride, because it was after the closures from COVID, I was just so happy. I was just so happy to be there that I was just in shock. I remember not even believing that I was there. So it is a deserved fan favorite. It's simply amazing. It immerses you perfectly into the world of Star Wars. The cast members, they act like they're in Star Wars. Spoilers, the ride's been out for a while, so I'm sorry that this is going to be full of spoilers, but I almost want to go say the Empire. It's really hard. They got all these different words. We can't just stick to the same thing. Anyways, the First Order officers who are detaining you make fun of you, and it's really funny. It cracks me up. Although if I were a little kid, it probably would scare me a little bit. But it's really funny. They poke fun at parents, kids, anyone. And, they are a little intimidating. They're really good at their jobs. And the ride itself is stunning. Just go watch a video if you want to know more. Now, this ride also has the most breakdowns out of what I would believe would be any ride on Walt Disney World property. And also over in Disneyland, the problems are the same across both campuses. The ride is constantly breaking down. And when it's down for quite some time, which is very frustrating. Back when they had the boarding pass system, you would have to come back later. But now with Lightning Lanes, people are paying to come on this ride specifically. So it makes it really hard because people sometimes can't get on the ride and they're paying for it. And that causes a lot of complaints from guests. And I don't blame them. I thankfully was able to go on it without using my Lightning Lane. I did use my DAS pass. So, we were just walking around doing other things while we were waiting. And we did have Lightning Lane, so we were able to ride other rides with the Lightning Lane with, the DAS. But it makes it really hard. And these breakdowns, like I said, they are really long. They tend to be upwards of 45 minutes. They have tried to get that number down, but when you have to do a whole reset on the entire ride, there's really not much that you can do. The ride itself is a 20-minute experience from start to end. And I know because I filmed the entire experience the second time I went on it. It is a really long ride. There are so many components and there is so much that can go wrong. That's just how it is. But it means that shutdowns are so long, so much longer than really any other ride. Now, I have my little handy dandy sheet of notes because I can't trust myself to remember anything. I have the worst memory. Now, this ride is a technical nightmare. It's a disaster because there's so many components going on in this ride. And the ride also, as far as we know, uses Wi-Fi and Bluetooth for the software to communicate what's actually going on in the ride and the sensors that each, ride vehicle hits as it's doing its thing. And we all know how reliable Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are, especially in Disney World. Now, in the beginning, there were mostly software bugs that were creating the issues, which is understandable. They were resolved. They were able to get updated and worked out. And that was the main cause of shutdowns in the beginning of the ride's history in Disney World and Disneyland. Now, the main issue is that sensors on the ride are getting triggered. It's not as much as a software issue, but that sensors on the rides are getting triggered, which then causes a shutdown because it's unsafe to keep operating the ride if something goes wrong with one of those sensors because it can cause accidents and no one wants that. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Now, to help reduce shutdowns, part of the ride it's temporarily, but really it's permanently operating in B mode. And there are two areas of the ride where this is most prevalent. Kylo Ren, the animatronic, mostly will run in A mode, but as soon as it shuts down for the day, instead of taking the extra time to reboot him, they will just run it in B mode. Now, the scene with the cannons where there are 3 cannons and they are shooting, out the window as you go by, that is said to be a temporary run in B mode. However, it has not run in A mode for years. It's been months at least, but I think it's probably at least been a year at this point. Oh, Miss Cat's on the move. And all 3 cannons used to move, and now it's only the last one. That's a permanent change to B mode. And although they say it's temporary, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon unless some leadership changes at Disney. And you know what I mean when I say that. I'm going to talk more about that later. If you would be interested in hearing my opinions on current Disney leadership, drop a little comment down below because I love to get angry. I love to complain. JK, I wouldn't actually be complaining, but I think it's important for leadership to listen to the fans and the audience and do what makes them happy instead of what's going to just make them more profitable. Because truthfully, people spend more money when they're happy. One day I'd love to be able to film in an actual studio space, and my college does actually have one, but I'm currently too traumatized to return to my college, so maybe in 3 years. But at that point, I hope I'm just in Florida. Let's be real. Anyways, people spend money when they're happy, so make people happy, because you're only really going to get the first timers, which really aren't the people who's giving Disney money. It's those crazy people who keep going back and can't stop going. Anyways, back from my little maintenance disruption. So first I'm going to talk about the cannons. So like I said, there's 3 cannons. The second cannon no longer moves at all. It began as a temporary fix. And like I said, it's rumored to be permanent because the margin of error was too close for the computer from the cannon moving to the ride vehicle moving that, once it becomes too much of a close call, like I said, that margin of error is just too small. The computer does not think that it can operate that movement safely. So it's rumored that was one reason that was causing major, major shutdowns. Because if you have noticed, shutdowns have reduced. They still do happen, but they have reduced a lot in the past couple of months. The first cannon also used to move. It doesn't anymore. It's just that last cannon. And it's honestly kind of disappointing because the ride vehicle would kind of dance around the cannons to avoid, getting hit by the cannons. And that element of danger made it really exciting as a ride goer to really feel like you're in the ride. You're really with the resistance. You're really escaping just like they do in the movies. And cutting out of that to just moving the last cannon, there's not that sense of urgency. There's not that sense of shock. And when I went on it, my mom even said, wow, like I'm shocked you're not looking out the window. But I was trying to figure out what was wrong. And it was because that last cannon was the only one not moving. I was trying to figure out why it didn't feel right. And it's true. It totally changes the vibe of the ride. Like that moment of urgency gets your heart rate going and makes it feel like you're really there. But by getting rid of that, it really changes the experience as a ride goer. And I honestly feel bad for people who haven't experienced all three cannons because that's such a big part in the story. Like, I would say that's like one of my favorite moments in the whole ride because it really is a story. Anyways, if you do go on the ride and the cannons are still not in operation, which I anticipate that they will be, look to your right and look out that window because there are what's going on, it's the screen. What's going on looks really cool because, you see all the ships and they're shooting and they're fighting and it feels like a video game. It feels like you're playing Battlefront again, But it is really disappointing because the greatest part about that scene never used to be looking out the window. It used to be the dance between the cannons and getting yourself to safety and that feeling of emergency and danger that like gets your adrenaline going, even though it's not a crazy thrilling ride, but the action makes it thrilling. But it's not like Tower of Terror where you're dropping out of the sky. I mean, you do drop a little bit, spoiler, but like it's not scary because of the heights or the spins or anything. It's scary because of what's happening and you're trying to flee and escape from the First Order and escape from Kylo Ren. But that really just takes away some of that danger aspect that I think makes the ride so fun. Now, for the biggest chunk of this podcast, we're going to be talking about the Kylo Ren animatronic. Because apparently Mr. Kylo Ren causes a lot of issues with this ride. And there's a lot of reasons why. And it's not because I almost called the animatronic sexy. That's not what I meant, but they did base the animatronic off of Adam Driver, who is very attractive. That's all I'm gonna say. God, that was really awkward. Okay, so moving on. Kylo Ren. So this is a new version of audio animatronic that Disney Imagineers have created, and it's stunning. It's called the A1000 audio animatronic, and it's cutting edge technology. Brand spanking new. Now, because it's brand spanking new, that also means it comes with some brand spanking new challenges that the Imagineers might not have been able to foresee. You can test something, but until you really see it operating basically 24 hours a day constantly with no breaks, there's going to be a lot of issues that you just can't plan for in testing. Now, this guy comes with quite a few issues, and I'm really thankful for the engineering nerds that I found on Disney Reddit because they were able to explain some of this to me, so I can explain it to you. Now, the repetitive motions of that robot really do take a toll, even on the best built animatronics, because it's doing the same motion hundreds, maybe even thousands times a day with very little breaks. Breaks, if any. The only breaks would be if it shuts down. And sure, it can get repaired overnight, but it's operating more during the day than there is nighttime. And that's going to take a toll. No matter how well built the animatronic is, that's just how it is. It's for any machine. You do the same repetitious movement every single time, it's going to break. Now, new robots will wear and tear in unexpected ways because the mechanics of the robot are built generally. They don't know exactly what movements the animatronic is going to make when they're designing the robot. They don't know exactly what's going to happen because they haven't set it in stone yet. They're still learning as they're building this technology. And it's crazy. It's amazing. The Imagineers are so talented. But that does come with some issues because the mechanics of the ride are built more generally. It's not made for those specific movements. And if it were able to be built for those specific movements, they might be able to do some preventative measures in there, but then you'd have to take apart the whole robot once you know exactly what it's doing to put those preventative movements in there. Also, because this is a totally new animatronic, the rate of wear on the parts in the animatronic are pretty much unknown until it's in the park, and it is running 12 hours a day? Park hours vary, I couldn't tell you. 12 hours a day, maybe more. And until the ride is in the park running 24 hours a day, you don't know exactly what's going to happen and what's going to wear faster than others. This is a completely new technology. Animatronics, up until this new animatronic, have been the same since Disneyland's debut and Disney World's debut in 71. That's crazy that technology held up through time. And those animatronics, most of them, okay, let's not generalize, look good up until this day. But they don't look as good as Kylo Ren and the shaman in Na'vi River Journey, because they do look so lifelike. And honestly, if you told me that was a person doing the part, I'd believe you. They've done it before. We've all seen the Great Movie Ride. I would believe you. It'd probably be cheaper, but I'd still believe you. So back to those tricky little sensors. Because of this sensor system, if the animatronic, misses or trips just one sensor and, misses timing, that'll cause a shutdown. That's just the way it is. It's that way for safety. If you haven't seen the video of the Kylo Ren animatronic, in a T-pose, spinning around rapidly, to this day, I wonder if it's real, but you can Google it. Yeah, it's probably not real now that I actually think about it, now that I'm saying this in public and people are going to see this, but that's a safety issue, and also doesn't really look good on the company because, yeah, people are going to take out their phones. I'll be real. If I were there, I would take out my phone. I saw Donald the Duck on Grand Fiesta Tour as a plant. I took out my phone and I took a video. It wasn't even new. I just thought it was the funniest thing ever. But either way, it's going to spread, and things on the internet spread like wildfire, especially when you're a company like Disney and millions of people are obsessed, and even millions of people are obsessed adjacent. It's going to get around. Now, I think it's very cool to know that these new animatronics use electric motors, not hydraulic tubes like the older animatronics do. And that is, a super cool advancement in technology. That's awesome. And it allows for more lifelike movements because there's not that restriction of those tubes. However, they're not as reliable. And a part of that comes with being new technology. But, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they tried to fix it. It just makes sense. New technology isn't going to be as reliable until it's mastered, and it's not yet. And although it is really cool that getting rid of those hydraulic tubes allows for more lifelike movement, it does cause issues because those hydraulic tubes work so well. You got to find something that works just as well. And it doesn't, at least not yet. So it is quite a bit less reliable. Now, you can assume when Kylo Ren is the point of failure of the ride and is the reason that it shuts down, that they shut him down and then go into B mode. And it does make sense. It's going to reduce shutdowns in the future. From what I read and understand, it takes longer to reboot the ride versus to just be like, all right, Kylo, you're done for the day and move to B mode. But it sucks because the animatronic is just so cool. Like, I can't even begin to explain. It looks like there's a person up there. And it's upsetting that, you know, they are so focused on making money and not as much about guest experience, because guests aren't even seeing the full ride. They're not even seeing exactly what it is, just so that they can get more people on the ride, sell more lightning lanes. And I understand, you know, wanting to get as many people as possible on the ride, but if you're totally altering the ride experience, you know, at what cost are you doing that? And I understand Kylo Ren, because they do have that B mode. The story is pretty much the same, and you do see the animatronic of him and Hux, forgot his name for a second, when they're like at the bridge of the ship. You do see them there, and he does look really cool there. He turns around, it's a whole thing. So you do at least still get to see the animatronic. And truly, B mode does make more sense in terms of the story. Like, I get it. But the cannons, I think, are a really big deal. It really dramatically changes the story. Now, I'm not afraid to be controversial. I'm not afraid to be honest. I say controversial, but I don't even think this isn't even a controversial opinion. And yeah, I really don't think any of my opinions are controversial now that I say that, but I'm not afraid to be real with y'all, I guess is what I'll say. And I'd say, you know, with the current CEO's goals and motives just really being profit and not experience, like I said, I don't think we'll see these issues be fixed. Because instead of making Kylo Ren and the cannons better and improving upon the technology and, you know, making that margin of error bigger and, you know, adjusting the technology in the Kylo Ren animatronic so that they now know the rate of tear and how it operates in its day-to-day, they've already moved on to new projects to make money. And some of those projects even just went down the trash can. I mean, remember they were talking about Mary Poppins, this Moana thing, like, has been in talks forever. People even thought that they were going to get rid of the Tiana, like, redo of Splash Mountain because they didn't say anything for months. Like, they announced it and then didn't say anything. And I knew they wouldn't do that because they announced it and not doing it would be really bad. I just don't think people understand how long these projects take to plan and, you know, be into fruition. But I think it's important to take care of the rides that people know and love and that are currently in the parks. There will always be time to make money, but you need to fix what is there. A refurb, I don't think would be a bad thing. Yeah, it might suck. There might be less guests going to Hollywood Studios. But everyone has their rides that are deal breakers. I was about to, like, not go to Disney when Everest was down because Everest is my favorite ride. I think it's important to fix what you have and do better than to just do new things to try and cover up the issues that are already there. Anyone who, like, this is just like basic PR. I know we're talking about rides, but like from a PR mindset, which is what my background comes from, brushing stuff under the rug, like, rarely works. It rarely does. It always comes to the surface. So you need to fix your stuff instead of just going on to new things to divert people's attention, because their attention always goes back. There's always going to be someone, lots of people, not just someone, to talk about that issue. So fix it. And I think they would make a lot more money because if they fix the ride, there's less shutdowns, there's a better experience. More people are going to pay for those lightning lanes, because I'm not paying for a lightning lane for B mode Kylo Ren or B mode cannons. but I would pay for a lightning lane for A-mode everything. So if you fix it, do better, more people are going to spend money. That's just how it is. Because while I was doing this research on many Reddit trails, there were a lot of people complaining because they bought their lightning lane, didn't even get to go on the ride, couldn't get a refund, or they went on the ride and it shut down, or they didn't get the right experience. People aren't happy with that, and no one's going to buy a lightning lane again if they had a bad experience. Like I said, the newbies to Disney, you're only going to fool them to take their money once and then never again. And the people who are pros at this, you're not fooling them into spending their money. If you cater not to just the new people who are coming to Disney, but us crazy people who are going back and going back, you're going to make more money because we want to spend money, but we're only going to spend our money on something's worth it. So make it worth it. That's just my thought process. And like I said, not fixing current issues, it's just going to cost more in the long run, because what happens if, they don't decide to adjust Kylo Ren to, help cater to the rate of tear of certain parts? I'm not an engineer. I don't know how that works. But say they can fix that now and save it in the future. Say Kylo Ren totally breaks down and isn't operable anymore. The thing costs millions of dollars. Like, you need to upkeep it because it costs millions of dollars. Like, just leaving it there. And I'm sure there's more behind the scenes. I'm not an expert. I don't work for Disney. I didn't ask anyone who worked for Disney any of these things. This is just the best I could do in terms of my research. But, it's going to save you money in the long run and help you make more money. So why not do it? I'm not in charge, but so yeah, Rise of the Resistance is one of my favorite rides. I really hope that they can improve upon what they have, because I believe everyone deserves to have the experience I did. And I realized I haven't experienced the ride in full A mode either, because when I went, I believe it was the first cannon didn't move, but the second cannon and third cannon did. They shut it down, like I said, because of the very small margin of error. But I just think that there's a lot that they can do and that they can do better. And I think they really just need to be listening to us fans, because, most of us do love to complain. I'll be real. But I feel like our complaints come out of love. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that they can do things better and that they have faults, because then they can get better if they learn and listen. But acting like everything's perfect all of the time, it's not realistic. And it's not helping anyone grow and get better. And I think that's a good philosophy to have in life and in business. So that is it for me. Thank you for listening to my ramblings about Rise of the Resistance. It is my favorite ride, and I do believe that Ben Solo deserved better, and that those 3 movies also deserved better. But that's just it for me. Make sure to subscribe, all those good things. I'm going to work on trying to get this podcast on as many platforms as I can, because I know people listen on a lot of different spaces. And if you're watching on YouTube and you're seeing my face and my cat, welcome. I'm wearing an Obi-Wan Kenobi shirt that I actually got at Disney, because we were at Hollywood Studios the day after Obi-Wan Kenobi dropped on Disney Plus. Love that. Love Ewan McGregor. But yeah, it's just me, your favorite little crazy Star Wars girl, who's crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm just crazy about Star Wars. It's my favorite thing ever. I love talking about it. So if you want to hear me talk more about Star Wars, I might do a video ranking my Star Wars movies, and it might be a little controversial. It might be a little spicy, and I think that could be really fun, because I know everyone has, their own thoughts and their own opinions on the movies. But yeah, that is it for me. Go follow me on Instagram and TikTok and all that good stuff. And thank you so much for watching. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye.